morning. It is actually a beautiful morning. 55 degrees.
Can you see that I'm smiling really big?
Yes.
Paul? I thought so.
I am too.
Okay. Oh yeah, I actually can see that. It's a scary mask.
Don't say that.
This is a kid-friendly program. I got to wear the medical mask.
See, I was going to, but I decided I wanted to break this one in.
Okay, I like it. Well, speaking of kids, they're going to be pretty excited all around. They're headed back to school on Monday, I think,
Yes.
for sure now.
Yeah.
That's great. So hopefully everything can go well for all the kids. And man, parents got to be just smiling even bigger than we are right now. Get a little break and a little bit of normal routine again. So we're hoping the streak can last for a while for them.
I hope so.
Keep them in school for a little bit. Hey, there was a great feature article this week in the Shopper Guide News. Did you see that? On
No.
real estate and construction.
No.
Oh man, we get so jacked up about that at First Federal. Yeah, they were talking about locally and around the country, the construction of residences is just going through the roof. It's a great housing market right now, and we enjoy helping people out with those projects. Featured in the article were some local people with some comments, which was great to read. So check that out if you get a chance. Sam Beachy, president of our local builders association, Dave Carr from Carr Construction, and Alex Berlin of Rochester Homes. Great article, just speaking about how the housing market is doing so well through this time, which is a great thing. We'll be speaking to our special guest this morning, David Heyde. He's representing the Lake Manitou Association later in the program for us this morning, and I'm excited to find out about health of Lake Manitou. It's such a great source for our community.
Oh, yeah.
Nature, recreation, beauty. It's a great asset for our community, so eager to learn more about that this morning. Speaking of that, trivia time.
Okay.
All right, this is going to test your knowledge a little bit about our region.
Okay.
What's the largest lake by area in the United States?
Oof.
Is it Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, or Lake Superior?
Make me go back to elementary school here, Tanner.
Do you remember how they used to tell you how to remember all the names of the Great Lakes?
There's a little song that went along.
Oh, I didn't know that. Could we hear it?
I don't remember.
Oh, I was going to let you off easy. They said the word Holmes has each letter of all the first letters of the lakes in it.
Oh.
You just learned that?
Yes, it does. I did not learn that. But
This is a home loan show, so I just want
yes,
to make sure
good
to throw that
time.
out there.
Good time.
How are we looking on sports this week, Tanner?
Well, like I was telling you before we went on the air, a lot of the sports news is just everybody complaining about the state of college football. Conference to conference, everybody's just kind of complaining, but I don't see much changing besides maybe one of the other big three conferences eventually bowing out. But right now it doesn't look like it. Looks like they're going to keep going while the Big Ten and Pac-12 are just going to.
So who are you going to be watching?
Whoever plays Notre Dame, how about that?
Typical answer.
Yeah, but we do have a few things to go over. Indy 500, of course, it's coming up on Sunday. Different this year than it ever has been, of course, with no fans. But still going to be enjoyable to watch and or listen to. And you can listen to it right here. What time does that start?
12:30 is
got some
when the
pre-race
show starts.
going?
Yep.
Got Marco Andretti on the pole. It's a pretty exciting story there. The first name Andretti since his grandpa Mario had the pole in 1987. His dad Michael never won the pole. So
Michael was a good racer, but he never could get Indy 500.
that's kind of how I view Marco.
Yeah.
Marco's had a pretty good career, but maybe not as good as he should have to this point. He was winning the 06 Indy 500 until the last lap when Sam Hornish Jr. passed him. I wonder how long that took him to get over.
I doubt he has.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
right
sure
there, you're so close.
Sunday that's going to be running through his head.
So we'll see if this could be the year for Marco. We will see. NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs are underway. NHL playoffs, I think, actually started last week, as some teams have already won and advanced to the second round. NBA playoffs are about, I think every series is about 2 games in or so. So it's, I gotta be honest, I haven't watched a bunch of either.
No.
I have watched, I'm a Colorado Avalanche hockey fan, and I have watched them. They beat the Arizona Coyotes about 4-1, so I have watched them a little bit. But besides that,
Mm.
haven't watched a bunch of it. The Pacers are struggling, down
Yeah.
2-0 to the Heat.
That's tough.
But the Heat hit like 17 3-pointers yesterday or something ridiculous. So
A little defense
yeah, they're running into a buzzsaw, kind of a tough matchup for them. The NBA draft lottery was held last night though, which was strange.
during the playoffs.
Yeah,
that is
during the
strange.
playoffs and not its normal time slot. But the Minnesota Timberwolves got the #1 pick. Interesting, the Golden State Warriors got #2.
That doesn't even seem fair.
So Curry's gonna be coming back, Klay Thompson's gonna be coming back, then they're gonna get the #2 overall pick.
Wow.
So they're gonna just reload once again and be right in the title hunt.
A
So.
new formula for future teams to follow.
Yeah, they made like 4 finals in a row, have one bad year, bad enough they get the #2 pick.
Wow, that's
Not right.
incredible.
I got some high school football action going on tonight.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I was just speaking with somebody yesterday how weird a time it is for high school sports that some high schools are playing, some aren't. It's kind of like who's getting lucky, not having cases, who's getting unlucky by having cases. Even in some towns, you're having a college team practice where a high school team's not, or vice versa. The high school team's practicing, but the college team's not. So, really, really odd times. But Tippecanoe Valley hosts Culver Military Academy tonight, and Caston will be traveling on the road to West Central.
I guess you got to watch Twitter all the time to figure out what games are
Yep,
actually playing.
I checked yesterday. I'm like, I better check to see if these schools are playing.
That's
Yeah.
probably the best way to keep up to
And
date.
little treat, we're gonna cover the Caston West Central game tonight.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's
Okay, great.
Yeah, figured the Zebras weren't playing,
Yeah.
we wanted to get some football on the air.
Oh,
Reached out to Caston and West
appreciate
Central,
that.
they said, come on down.
That's awesome.
That
That's
is really good.
So, Comet fans, catch them tonight. What time's that?
6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff.
There you go. Got some tidbits here this morning. On this day in 1959, Hawaii became the 50th U.S. state. Of
Wow,
course, the last state.
that's not that long ago.
No,
No.
it's really not when you think about it. On this day in 1967, I was surprised by this. Kansas City's utility player Ken Harrelson became baseball's first free agent when he was abruptly released by the Athletics. I figured free agency started before then.
Yeah, so then he was the first guy without a team
Yep,
to get to sign anywhere he wanted.
yep.
No
And
rights.
then they
Wow.
changed the sport and probably the sporting landscape forever. And on this day last year, in 2019, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was named the highest paid actor for a second year in a row, earning $89.4 million. I bring this up because they recently released the Forbes top paying actors of 2020. He was named it again for the 3rd straight year.
Oh my
But
god.
this time his earnings went down a little bit to $87.5 million.
Oh, that's a tough cut. Yeah, that's pandemic related.
And he
He
dropped,
struggled this year.
And he dropped, what, 15 of that on
On the XFL. Yep. So,
Wow.
yep, it'll be interesting to see what he does with that. I got a
Do
few.
you like his movies?
I do like his movies. I think he does a pretty good job. But there's a couple, I mean, like The Tooth Fairy, a couple others he was on early on in his acting career, maybe not so much, but I think he usually does a pretty good
Hey.
job.
He was paving the way, baby.
Yeah. Now he can pick whatever role he wants, pretty much. So.
Yeah.
I got a few national days today. Today's National Senior Citizens Day.
That's great.
It's also National Poets Day. National,
No thanks, Paul.
yeah,
We'll
I
save
don't-
it for
no
another-
poetry.
Yeah, save that one.
National Men's Grooming Day, and National Spumoni Day. Ever had spumoni?
Is that ice cream?
Yeah, it's like an Italian dessert that has ice cream and sometimes cherries in it, and nuts, and a whole
I
bunch
think
of
I've had
things.
it one
It's
time.
different colors usually, like pink, green.
Is one of the flavors pistachio?
Yes.
Okay,
Usually,
I've had
yep.
that.
Yep.
You
have
like
to.
it?
I think I do, but it's been a long time since I've had it. So, I mean, usually if it's ice cream related, there's a
You
pretty
don't
good
dislike
chance.
anything?
There's a pretty good chance I like it. But
Well, thank you, Tanner.
you're welcome.
This is an interesting combo of days, Paul.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay, we got an upcoming event to highlight this week. Junior Achievement Fulton County is hosting a fall fashion show and fundraiser on Saturday, September 19th from 6 to 7 p.m. That's at the Fulton County Community Center. Tickets are $50 a person, or you can get a table of 8 for $350. And there are some additional sponsorship opportunities for groups or businesses, and those Donations would range from $100 to $500. We wanted to recognize Terry Moore this morning. She's retired from her longtime position as Director of Outreach at United Ministries. She's served our community in that role for over 30 years and helped so many people throughout that time by distributing resources through United Ministries Outreach. Thank you so much, Terry, and congratulations. We appreciate everything that you've done. Also wanted to give some flowers to Rochester Meats and Deli. They're the Member of the Month for August, Link and Lisa Townsend. They've owned the shop for just about 15 years now, and we enjoy having them do our barbecue sandwiches at our Customer Appreciation Day. They always do a fantastic job. So congrats to them. Money news this week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down a little bit so far this week, 230 points. But man, the winners of the last couple years stocks keep on winning. Apple, Facebook, Netflix, Alphabet, Microsoft, they were all up 2% yesterday. Have you followed Tesla anymore? That thing is like a shooting rocket, which kind of makes sense since their owner also owns SpaceX.
Yeah.
It was up 6.5% yesterday, and it's over $2,000 a share for the first time. It's the most valuable by market share of all the auto companies now, which is really crazy to think about that. Earlier this week, Apple became the first U.S. company to reach a $2 trillion market cap. It wasn't that long ago they just crossed it. I think it was last year I was announcing the $1 trillion market cap that they bested. They're up over 60% since the March low. So some of these tech companies are really doing well throughout this time. Some other more blue chip companies we're used to from over the years are not doing quite as well right now, but that can always change. U.S. weekly jobless claims jumped back above 1 million last week, just by a little bit, but the aggregate of unemployment went down also. So keeping an eye on that, that's a key to getting our economy rolling again.
Yes.
Mentioned last week, but I wanted to highlight it again. Thinking of First Federal, we are now part of the MoneyPass ATM network. We've got over 33,000 surcharge-free ATMs. You can check out where those are located on moneypass.com, or there's a free MoneyPass app you can download, and you can use your location of your phone to find out where an ATM is close to you, or you can search for a specific area. So we're thrilled to offer that to our customers so they can get cash wherever they're at without paying a fee. And the housing market, we mentioned, that's really hot right now. One of the reasons is the low interest rate environment that we're in. Rates really dropped back in March and have stayed down, even come down a little bit, and held pretty steady down there. So if you're looking to purchase a home, this is a fantastic time to get a home loan. And we're even doing a special in August. If you can get your application in here in the next couple of days, we'll give a lender credit of $500 towards closing costs, and also can give you a special rate, so a discounted rate. So we'd love to hear from you if you're looking to buy a home, if you can find one.
Yeah.
Or you might consider building a home, and we talked about that earlier. So talk to Ben Dalton or Stacy Wilson here in Rochester, and they can help you kind of map out your plan for what you need to do. And we'd love to help you with that. We enjoy giving free pre-qualifications and talking about your particular financial situation and what might work best for you. 574-223-2128. We'd love to have you like us on Facebook, where we're streaming live right now. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're the only locally owned bank in Fulton County. We don't want to be the biggest, just the best. Borrowers must meet underwriting guidelines for our loans, and we are FDIC insured and an equal housing lender. NMLS number is 399927. Okay, let me get a breath through my mask here. This is hard work.
You were on a roll there.
Well, now is an exciting part of our show. We want to introduce and welcome David Heyde, President of Lake Manitou Association. I believe that's correct, and we appreciate what the Lake Manitou Association has been up to the last few years. There's been some challenges at the lake years back, and I think it seems like we've kind of come back from some of that and got some great proactive plans preserving our historic lake.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate being here this morning.
Give us a little history about Lake Manitou. I grew up in this community, but I don't necessarily know a lot of the background of the lake. I remember when I was a kid and the dam was threatened by a lot of water and people were out helping sandbag and things like that. And
Well, originally there were 5 lakes, and back in 1827, the government came in and put in the dam where the current dam is, or right in that area. And the original intent of Lake Manitou was to create a mill for the Potawatomi Indian tribe that was here, and they obviously had most of this land at that time. So the 5 lakes were dammed up to create what we know as Lake Manitou, and back then the term in there was Devil's Lake. We've all heard the Manitou monster reference, but
That's right.
that was the original name at Devil's Lake. So
okay. It seems like I've seen a sign that referenced something about Devil's Lake or Manitou Monster, and that may be out at the dam site right now. There's
I think that's correct.
a sign that's been
Yeah.
That's neat.
One thing we do have, I think, that's really unique, and we're a 12-member volunteer board.
Okay.
So being on the board doesn't pay as well as being a top actor. But one of our board members is actually part of the Potawatomi Pokagon Band tribe of Indians. Wayne Holloman, that resides in South Bend, that's on our board, has a place here on the lake. So it's really great, I think, to have part of the original heritage of the lake back. You know, Wayne's ancestors were part of them that were out there, so that's a really tie.
What a neat connection.
Yeah, great historic tie. So
That's awesome.
and we do, as I mentioned, the board, like I say, it's a 12-member board. It's a very active board. We're very blessed to have the volunteers that we do.
Give us an idea of the overall mission of the Lake Manitou Association for those that aren't really familiar with it.
Well, our mission is simply to make Lake Manitou better. You know, it's a lot of moving parts. You know, people think that, oh, you know, we can go do this or we can go do that. Well, it's a state-owned body of water.
Okay.
So what we really do is we listen and watch to the concerns, what we see, and then we have to go work with the state to get permits, whether we're talking about aquatic plant control, whether we're talking about dredging, the work we've been trying to do with the prairie. We have to work closely with DNR. They are the boss. It's just, we listen to concerns. We're really an ambassador also to the community.
That's great.
To the city, to the county. We send mailings anytime there's a home on the lake that changes hands. We reach out to the people through mailings to make sure they know about restaurants, about different things, so that we become that go-to for new residents.
That's awesome. I'm thinking about, you mentioned aquatic plants, and I have a distinct memory of several years where the lake maybe was closed and we were treating the lake for an invasive plant. Give us a little background on that.
So back several years ago now, the hydrilla was the invasive
that's
plant,
right.
and so they came in and did a total kill of the aquatic plants in Lake Manitou, and it was that way for roughly 10 years.
Wow, that's longer than I was thinking.
Yeah, so you know, that really changes a lake.
Mm-hmm.
Back prior to that time, Lake Manitou was one of the top fisheries in Indiana. At one point, we were ranked like the number 3 best fishing lakes in Indiana.
Incredible.
You kill all the aquatic plants for a decade, that really changes that balance. And so the aquatic plants are really starting to come back. There's areas where they are really thick. And what we try to do with the aquatic plant control is monitor those areas, the navigable waterways, to make sure that we're keeping a pathway open for the boats that, you know, to get around, to get people in and out of their piers, if you will,
Okay.
and just really deal with navigable waters. And again, that goes to the DNR. It's all permitting. We put in for the areas that we see a problem. They come in, they monitor, they look, and then they approve certain areas. So,
Okay.
you know, you've seen this year, one of the locations was down in the Rain Creek area.
Yes.
You know, the watershed is roughly 28,000 acres of water feeds into Lake Manitou.
Wow.
And a lot of that from the south. You know, if you look down the Rain Creek area, there's a lot of sediment that comes in that way. But we did some aquatic plant treatment down there, and that area has really changed this year and really aided some of that area of being able to get in and out of the lake.
And you mentioned that I grew up in that area, and I remember when I was pretty young, there used to be like a carpet of of vegetation that looked like you could almost walk across it in the heat of the summer, and I didn't notice that this year.
Yeah, it's really made a big difference
That's
up
great.
there, and it's a lot of work that the volunteers do to get all the permitting and everything, but we really see the benefit, and it's something we continue to monitor.
I like the balance between natural habitat, important fishery, and, well, it's also a recreational lake as well with property owners that have boats, and it's a good balance.
Yeah, and you know, as you've seen it, as you mentioned, you grew up around the lake. It's a different lake today than it has been historically. It used to be primarily locals that were around the lake. You know, summer cottages. There's approximately 600 homes now around Lake Manitou.
I don't see a lot of cottages anymore.
There aren't many cottages, and you know, the other thing you really don't see is a lot of cars from Fulton County. You know, you see a lot of outside Fulton County, Indiana cars, a lot of Illinois cars. You know, it's a changed lake. Whether you wanted it or not, we are now a lake community, and with that comes different sized boats, comes the golf carts, you know.
Yes.
We are a lake community, and that's why we work hard on educating those people as they come in of what the advantages of Fulton County and help support the local businesses and restaurants.
That's great. Hey, thinking about aquatic plants, something that I thought about along with that too is like dredging. I know there's been targeted areas over the last few years to maintenance dredging and that kind of thing. Is that something that is an ongoing process, or what's that look like for Lake Manitou?
As I mentioned, you know, you have two primary. You have Graham Ditch coming in over by the DNR launch, and you have Rain Creek coming in from the south. So we always have more sediment coming in. So we're always monitoring what's going on within the lake. So again, that's a permitted process through the state. We actually had a board meeting last night. We've approved 4 locations to be dredged this fall. But again, it's all about navigable waterways. You know, we're about helping people get to and from the lake back to their piers. So it's not like we're going in and dredging, you know, a whole area somewhere. We look at and listen to people. You know, we have a lot of people call and say, "Hey, will you come look at our areas?" And then we go through the state. They look at it and say, "Yes, we see a problem," or "No, we don't." So you know, that's an ongoing process, though, because of all the sediment coming.
Okay, so that's likely something a maintenance expense that's just going to continue to make sure the lake can operate how we'd like it to.
We want to do everything we can to continue to make Lake Manitou the best it can be.
That's awesome.
You know, you talk about the balance. You know, we work on the aquatic plants and dredging, something that we did this spring that we hadn't done before. We hired a firm to come in and electrofish the lake to actually inventory the lake to get a feel for where the fishery is. And what we learned was that 10-year weed kill has really destroyed the balance of Lake Manitou. We have a very high abundance of what the biologists would deem junk fish.
Okay.
And it greatly reduced largemouth bass population. And you know, you go back, you know, all the panfish fishing that used to be so great, we have lost that. So we're in the process of talking to DNR, seeing what we can find, working together, and we hope to be reintroducing a lot of those species through Lake Manitou Association.
David, we're speaking with David Heyde from the Lake Manitou Association this morning about Lake Manitou. Is there a hope that, or is there a process where DNR can provide fish into the lake?
Well, fish aren't cheap, so I really hope that is what they're going to come
That's
to
what I
table
wondered
with.
If they
you know,
inject fish.
The fish study that came out, they were recommending our first thing that we would do would be put in 17,000 bass.
Wow.
So we really want to, you know, they're talking about looking at a reintroduction of the northern pike, that, you know, looking at what the fishery was and doing a full reintroduction.
Okay.
So it's certainly something that LMA can support and work on, but it's certainly something we can't do totally on our own. So, you know, they recommended a catch and release total program. Don't take any largemouth bass out for 3 years. So we need cooperation with
Right.
the fishermen and everybody to really get on board to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. So.
Well, I appreciate you guys doing the work to get a plan put together for that. I'm thinking about the high cost of some of these things. I'm imagining dredging isn't an inexpensive item either. Where's the funding coming from for these type of projects? Do you have partners, grant opportunities? How does this all come together to be able to do these projects?
We are primarily funded by memberships of the 600 properties around the lake. About 50% belong to the Lake Manitou Association. Obviously, we do everything we can to try to educate, to try to get that number up. We've been very blessed to get some grants from the Community Foundation to work and support some of the aquatic plant control.
Excellent.
So, you know, we're always looking for ways to help educate so that people understand what we're doing, so that they will continue to give and maybe get some new membership. You don't have to live on Lake Manitou to be a member. We have a lot of people that see the value of Lake Manitou and what it does for the community, and so anyone that wants to join can join Lake Manitou Association. You don't have to be any way affiliated. We will take any contribution that we can get our hands on.
And I've noticed too that the communication coming from the board to the members is excellent. There's a newsletter. I've enjoyed staying up to date on some of the timing of different things, and the information provided is really good. I want to compliment you on that.
Well, thank you. Obviously we feel it's really important for everyone to understand what we're doing, and if you live around the lake, you get that. That goes to all lake residents,
that's
not
great.
just members, so that everyone understands if they see something going on. You know, Lake Manitou Association, the perimeter buoys that are out there, we put those up, we maintain them, we take them down. There's a few private ones that we don't, but for the most part, all the ones around the prairie, those are all put out there and maintained by Lake Manitou Association.
What's the importance of those buoys, David, for a lake like ours?
Well, you want to create safety zones, the ones around the perimeters. The intent is that boats go perpendicular to shore in and out rather than running close to shore where you may have swimmers or...
That's
It's
good.
a protection border. It's also a low wake area, so it's important as new people get on the lake. We try to help educate some boater safety also, and one of the things is run outside the buoys.
Yes.
We always get asked, is there a certain direction you're supposed to go around the lake? Michigan actually has a law that you go counterclockwise.
Really?
And so you'll see some of the older time boaters always go counterclockwise, but that's not a law. You'll see a lot of people going around the perimeter, and those buoys are to help you know where you should and shouldn't go.
That's good. Okay, let's see. Thinking of funding. We had mentioned on the show a couple weeks in a row about a fundraiser coming up. The Fish and Tenderloin Fry, Saturday, August 29th, from 4:30 to 7:30 at the Fulton County Museum. This is one of those avenues for raising funds for these projects. Is that right?
Yeah, this year, I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but it's been a little challenging. And, you know, some of the poker runs that we normally do on the boats and some of the fun events we are not going to be able to do. But,
Okay.
you know, we had this idea earlier in the year, and we had a date set, and that got canceled. And so this is a carry-out only out at the Historical Society out on US 31. And as you mentioned, it's fish and tenderloin carry-out. And we appreciate all the support we can get. You know, it's just a lot of opportunity for people to help the lake and help us make it better. So any support that anyone would want, you can get tickets. You can go on our Facebook page. It'll help direct you. But any board member or at Lakeshore Relay, you can get tickets.
Okay. Thank you so much for doing that. Any other comments you've got about the association and what we're doing for Lake Manitou?
Well, one thing I do want to mention, if you get stranded out on the lake and it's a non-medical emergency and you call 911, they will direct that call to a group of volunteers, and we will go respond and help rescue the boater. But as I mentioned, in a medical emergency, you don't want us coming. So if you
Well,
are
that's great.
stranded, that is something that we provide that we want people to make sure they know about.
That happened to me once on a wave runner when I was a teenager. I didn't have cell phones back then, though. I'm so old, but
Yeah.
that's a great service to have for someone out there. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for the work that you're doing with the association, the volunteer board members. It sounds like you got a great group, and 50% of the property owners around the lake is a good number. That's great participation. Always interested in more, of course, but
Well, thank you, Evan, and for your support, and as always, for all the First Federal does, not only for LMA, but all the community, so it's greatly appreciated.
thank you very much. Okay, we got a lake trivia question we want to find out the answer to. Paul, what's the largest lake by area in the United States? Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, or Lake Superior?
Since I don't know, I'm just gonna take a random stab, and the name kind of says it, Lake Superior.
Oh man, you're correct. That's the big boy. 31,700 square miles of lake.
It's in the name.
Deep
That was all.
and cold.
You would have had me otherwise, Tanner, because
Yeah.
if Lake Superior wouldn't have been an option, I wouldn't have known which one to go with.
So how many acres is Lake Manitou? That will just put you on the spot.
God, dude, I don't know.
I'm gonna guess. Is it 600?
775.
Oh man. Didn't include the wetlands. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
All right, we got one quote here to end the show on, some words of wisdom to take with us for the week till next week's show. This is from Thomas Edison, kind of an electricity guy.
A little bit, yeah.
Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up.
Makes a lot of sense when you're trying to get electricity going.
Yeah, don't give up on your weekend project this week, Paul.
Exactly.
Stick it out.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.